Welcome to another episode of Not Reading for Content. In this episode, we are supposed to be getting hyped for our next read of this translation season, and that book is Shadow of the Wind. Unfortunately, though, we have decided not to pursue this title, mainly because both Danny and I have already DNF'd it before we even recorded any other episode beyond the original hype. And so we've switched gears. We've got another title to discuss, another title to get excited for. But the first thing we should probably address is, why did we DNF this book that was, pretty well accepted in the community? It has really high ratings, a modern classic for some people because it was published in the early 2000s and it's been translated from Spanish. So there was a lot of hype surrounding it already, but it wasn't for us. So, Danny, why have you decided to DNF this book?
There were a lot of reasons that I decided not to move forward. I did get through chapter 18, or maybe I just reached chapter 18, and I was struggling to care about what I was reading. And when I get to that point, my brain starts revolting, and it's like, nope, I'm not going to listen. Like, because I was listening to this on audio, so I would find myself phasing out and thinking about other things and planning things as I was reading, and I just was not interested in the story. And I think that was due to a couple of different things. The first was I was really disappointed with how small I think the story of the missing books and the library of forgotten books, or cemetery of forgotten books. I think that that should have been a bigger part of the story for something that was so prevalent in the synopsis. And so my expectations were a little too high, I think, regarding that. It was definitely part of the story, but I think the way that it was told, it felt very much like an afterthought. We were living with this young boy as kind of like a coming of age story. And I really did not enjoy the depictions of women in this book, especially from an 11-year-old's perspective. I found it quite uncomfortable to be in his head while he's thinking certain things, and I just got tired of hearing about the female body when all I really wanted to hear about was books. So those are my main my main things, for why I DNF'd. I got to the point where I ended up messaging you because I had gotten to chapter 18 and I was like, "I'm gonna have to reread the next or the last 2 chapters because I have no idea what's happening because my brain doesn't wanna listen anymore." Because I don't wanna hear another description of breasts. I can't do it. So, that was my experience. How about you?
Yeah, I would say that the only thing that I feel badly about is that because you started this book sooner and you got further and we just knew this wasn't going to work, that we decided to DNF before I even reached that far. I ended up reading the first 10 chapters, checked in with you, and I just really was not invested either. I was bored by being in this young boy's head, on top of the fact that we were missing the most interesting things. Instead, we did have this grief narrative, which, could be poignant. Unfortunately, though, it ended up becoming a bit creepy because while he was getting over, or at least trying to work through his grief, the loss of his mother, he became infatuated with this older blind woman who was sometimes described as his older sister, potentially even could have been his mother's age or somewhere around there. And he was enamored and obsessed with her. And she was this gorgeous woman. And there is a sexual scene, not between these two characters, but between her and another man that this main character stumbles upon. And all I could think was, this woman who is blind is so vulnerable in this extremely intimate moment, not realizing that there is unintentional voyeurism, that the boy doesn't mean to, but it's horrific. And the descriptions were so graphic. It did not need to be that graphic. It did not, especially from his perspective. And that's when I was kind of done. He was so mean to his dad, who was so
Yeah.
sweet. And I was just like, what are we doing here? I also was just kind of rolling my eyes at the fact that again, we weren't very far, so none of these are spoilers. Like we were only a few chapters in, but there is this huge mystery of why are all of these books being burned and being destroyed about this one author by this one author. And it seems like it's just this weird revenge or vendetta from another writer. And I was like, a man is just roaming around trying to destroy all the books by another man he doesn't like. I don't care. I don't. I'm like, get a life. Grow up. So yeah, we clearly weren't vibing with this. And many of you who did warn us about this title were right. You were right. This wasn't a book for Danny. It's not for me. And I'm just baffled that this title is so popular and has such high ratings, because I think that's a choice. That's a choice. That's all I'll say. But we are on to bigger and better things, because we've chosen another title that we're both excited about. And if you've been listening or been paying attention, you may already know the title that we're talking about, but we're really excited. And take it away, Danny. What book are we going to be reading this month?
I am so excited for this read. We are going to be reading the Dallergut Dream Department Store. Eek! I can't wait. This is a Korean translation by Miye Lee, and I love this book. So I've already read it, but I am going to be rereading it with you all, which I can't wait because this was a 5-star read for me. And I can't wait for Leander to read it as well because it's been something that I've been talking about since I started reading it or since I finished reading it. So I think that we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. I think that I am definitely comfortable with this title because I've already read it, but I think that this is definitely gonna be more our type of book, because of some of the things that it focuses on and the cozy nature of it as well. So I have hope. I have faith that this will be a successful read for us.
Me too. And there are just so many really exciting things that we're changing up through reading this book. It's a reread for you, it's new to me. So, those types of elements coming together will make a really good discussion. It's a book that I have been meaning to read for quite some time, and I'm excited to have, an audience to be reading it with us once you all end up getting your holds in or buying the book. And on top of that, all of us can get excited because this is a series, which we may or may not have, known when the author was writing it, but it is coming out quite soon if it hasn't already come out. And so, yeah, we are already going to be starting with book 1, and if we all love it, we can immediately go out and get book 2. So, yeah, and I think that this is probably a good mix as well. We were a bit men author heavy this season, because I think we had 3 men, 1 woman, which is fine, totally fine. But I do like that after 2 duds, 2 books that we were not vibing with, and part of it was this depiction of women and being in a man's head that just it was not working for us. I like that we are now trying this Korean author who's a woman, and it also seems so fun and kind of whimsical. And anyway, I'm excited for you to read aloud the summary, because I think everyone's going to become obsessed.
Yes, if you haven't read it already, be prepared because I have a feeling that we're gonna pull some of you in with this one. The synopsis says, "What if there was a store that sold dreams? Which would you buy? And who might you become when you wake up?" In a mysterious town hidden in our collective subconsciousness, there's a department store that sells dreams. Day and night, visitors, both human and animal, shuffle in to purchase their latest adventure. Each store specializes in a specific type of dream: childhood memories, food dreams, ice skating, dreams of stardom. Flying dreams are almost always sold out, and some seek dreams of loved ones who have died. For Penny, an enthusiastic new hire, working at Dallergut is an opportunity of a lifetime. As she uncovers the workings of this whimsical world, she bonds with a cast of unforgettable characters.
It sounds great. It sounds so good.
I
Oh my
can't wait.
goodness.
I think I remember while I was reading this, I really did think when I started or when I first picked it up, I thought that it was just going to be kind of fun, palate cleansery book. But it really has some heavy hitting topics. It mentions in the synopsis that some people seek out dreams of loved ones who have passed. And so there are some topics in this book that are heavy hitting while also being surrounded by this really fun and whimsical dreamlike place. I think that we're going to really love it.
Me too. And so, yeah, I know that this is not super good notice for you all, because this is a very big pivot, and we only now are realizing the change as well. But if you can, get your holds in, see if you can borrow a physical copy, an ebook, an audiobook, or if you're willing, go off to the bookstore, maybe support your independent bookstore and pick this up, because I do think it's going to be a great book. And I mean, it's Danny approved. So we really can't go wrong with this title, can we?
I hope not.
I know this will be very awkward.
So, for those of you who will be following along with us, and if you can also come back to these episodes too. So, if you do want to put your book on hold and then pause, don't listen to our episodes until after you have a copy of the book. That's totally fine. We would love to have you join in the conversation whenever you can. And if you want to do that, you have to know what to read. So, next week, we are going to be discussing chapters 1, 2, and 3. They are longer chapters, but it is a pretty short book. It's only 284 pages total. So, I think the first day we're reading 112 chapters. Or
It's our
112, ooh,
thickest.
112 pages, not chapters.
Yep, a chapter a page. Oh my gosh, memories of posthumous memoirs, am I right? Oh, goodness.
No joke. Anyway, friends, we hope that you will join us whatever time that you can, and we will see you next Friday.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Not Reading for Content. Be sure to check the description for a schedule of our upcoming reads for this season. And for reminders and other updates, you can follow the podcast on Instagram at Not Reading for Content. Where else can listeners find you, Danny?
I have a booktube and an Instagram. Both can be found at danny.dabbles. What about you?
I have the same platforms. My booktube is at Leandra the TBR0, and my Instagram is at Leandra _ the TBR0. Thanks again for listening. Don't forget to tune in next Friday for our next episode.